There are games, and then there is Brood War. This is day one of the Jin Air OSL 2011 Semifinals. Finals. Between Fantasy and Hydra. Yes, the cream is starting to rise to the top in this OSL. We have an OSL champ versus an MSL champ in this best of 5 to determine who gets that first final spot. But here we go. Gladiator is the double map, meaning it will be played in set 1 and 5 if we get to 5. But here we go. Certified can of awesome sauce. Fantasy and Hydra. Except down at the 5 o'clock position in green is Fantasy, your reigning OSL champ, and just a couple steps away from even more OSL glory. And up at the 2 o'clock position in white is Hydra, the MSL champ. Took his MSL against Great, ZVZ final. And Hydra plays with one eye. He is blind in his left eye, his mini-map eye. That would drive me absolutely crazy. But Hydra is doing pretty well for himself. One of the top Zerg on the scene in the world. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be spectacular. I wrote down last night, I wrote down some stats on a receipt. I think it's a Captain D's receipt. But yeah, Fantasy is already moving out with, I think, his 7th SCV. He's moving up. Oh, Fantasy. Damn it, slamming the receipt down. Fantasy has ruined my commentary already because he is going to put on some early aggression. Not only that, but he could have gotten very, very lucky here because he's putting down a forward barracks about as close as you can possibly be to Hydra's natural expansion. So see if Hydra is going to go for his 12 hatch. Since this is a 4-player map, I'd say it's pretty likely. I think he's going for a 12 hatch. If he does go for the 12 hatch, if Hydra does, he is going to have a pretty tough time fighting off the aggression that's going to be coming from Fantasy. He's moving out with that drone, so he is going to put down the 12 hatch. He's going to have to hope and pray that Fantasy scouts to the 8 o'clock position. That way he'll wheel his way around and eventually scout Hydra in the last position. If that happens, Hydra's going to have a much easier time of this thing. And Fantasy's moving out. No, he's moving out with 2 SCVs to scout, so he is going to find Hydra immediately. And he's so close with that barracks. Oh, this is going to be tough. No lie, this is going to be extremely tough for Hydra. He might lose the game right here because luckily he does have his Overlord just hovering over. He's going to see the bunker immediately, so he has to pull off most, if not all, of his drones to defend against this. Probably try to go for that SCV first. If he can take down the SCV, this will be much, much easier. Keep that SCV from building up that bunker too much. He's trying to focus on the bunker now, get that down in health, but in the meantime, more and more Marines are going to work their way up here, so he has to take down one of these units. He's got to go for either the SCVs or the Marines. Usually a Zerg player would go for those Marines, take those down first so nothing can even get into the bunker, and then by then the Zerglings will be out to deal with that with only one Marine or something. But Hydra is still trying to micro around this intense battle. 3 SCVs in to block for the Marines. Now the Marines getting some shots in on those drones. Hydra trying his best. He loses a drone, trying to get the surround of the Marines. Now some micro for Fantasy, keeping those Marines out of harm's way for the most part. It's more drone kills from Fantasy. Oh, a lot of drone kills. So even if this bunker does go down now that the Zerglings are out, I think Fantasy did get sufficient damage to justify this bunker rush. Yeah, the bunker was already at half health thanks to the drones, so the Zerglings should be able to take this down. Now they do take down the bunker, but Fantasy is still in here. He's microing around with his Marines, takes down all the Zerglings. Oh, Fantasy. But Fantasy's backing off. Yeah, he's not. I'm surprised he didn't push into the natural expansion, but I guess he's thinking, well, I need some kind of defense at home because he has literally none. It's natural expansion. But yeah, I saw Fantasy starting the wall earlier with supply depots, so he'll be able to float over with his barracks and probably complete the wall and get his second base going. But yeah, Hydra took a lot of drone kills. Yeah, the second base already going for Fantasy, and is floating back to complete the wall. Yep, now he has a full wall in at his natural expansion. Brilliant planning from Fantasy, and I have to say though, Fantasy got a little bit lucky there with the positioning. But either way, Hydra rather, took a lot of drone kills, but he is going into his lair already. He had about 1 or 2 drones on the gas, I think, just enough to get that lair going. So at least he'll have his tech working at about the same rate, but he's just going to have fewer hatcheries to do whatever it is he was thinking about doing. Whatever it is Hydra had planned to do in this game, he's got to adapt now to Fantasy. Fantasy is taking control of the game, saying, "You're going to play the game my way, not yours." Nee, 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 nee. Freaking terrorist. Vulture terrorist. Actually, that was just straight up marine terrorism. Terrorism with a gun, my friend, instead of a motorcycle. A very Akira type of terrorism there. Yeah, the fans cannot believe it. Their hats are flying off. Actually, their hats were still on. But Fantasy does have his second base up and mining now, and getting that economy cooking after a very unorthodox opening. I think that's the real danger of a player like Fantasy, though, is his unpredictability. I was going to mention that as soon as I pulled out my stat receipt. Let me read the stat receipt now. It's a Spire coming up for Hydra off of 2 hatcheries. He's going to open up with 2 hatch Muta. Trying to be aggressive there, take Fantasy down a level, see if he can snipe some SCVs to make up for that loss earlier. And Fantasy is going to scout this. SCV did sneak inside this main, sees everything that's happening, and Fantasy notices the lack of the 3rd hatchery. So Fantasy is pushing now out into the middle. It could possibly try to pressure the front a little bit. The scout goes down. The SCV goes down at the natural expansion. The Zergling missing the medic and marines that were moving out. So hopefully Hydra puts down some static defense anyway at the front. Otherwise, he's going to be completely screwed. Oh man, they need to show the front. They are showing the front. Sunken colony and a creep colony coming up. This should be enough since there's only 1 medic at the front. The second sunken colony morphing. Fantasy sees that and decides to back off. Like I said, he only had 1 medic. So he can't really push with 1 medic. And I don't even think he has stem yet. No, he's still researching stem. No, he does have stem, actually. So he's researching range for those marines. Kind of ridiculous. The Zerglings have speed now, so it'd be easier. Oh, man, the Zerglings. A lot of unnecessary Zergling kills for Hydra. But he will be able to keep tabs on that army now that he has... Well, maybe. He's losing so many Zergling. needs some Zerglings left to scout. I was going to say he could keep tabs on Fantasy's army by running back and forth with those speedy Zerglings. But Hydra is safe for now, but he's going to be dealing with a very powerful Fantasy coming up soon. If he doesn't snipe a lot of SCVs with this initial Mutilus harassment. The +1 upgrade being researched by Fantasy over here with the Zergling sneaking in, actually bypassing the natural for whatever reason. Hydra being forced out of the main, running into a lot of resistance there. I'm surprised he didn't just focus on the natural expansion. Could have taken out a lot of SCVs there, at least made them run away from that position. But let's see how many SCVs can get sniped by these Mutas. Let's see if Hydra is up on his Mutilus micro today. I don't think he's managed to take down... He takes down 1 SCV. He's flying over this turret trap. Oh, he loses a Muta over the turret trap. That's not good. But Fantasy scans at the exact same time that Hydra put up his 12 o'clock position. So Fantasy getting lucky with everything today, it seems. But the 12 o'clock position is coming up. Fantasy knows that's coming up, so he'll probably attack that soon if Hydra continues with this harassment. Hydra's still trying to pick off SCVs, not running into a lot of resistance now since Fantasy's entire army basically is moving out. He has them kind of hovering around the natural expansion. He is losing some SCVs, though. Losing quite a few SCVs. Hydra getting some excellent harassment now. But he's got to play on the defensive soon. He doesn't really have anything to protect his 3rd base. I don't think he's worked towards lurkers yet. Haven't seen the Hydralist in or any Hydralists out yet. So the lurkers, no lurkers to protect that 12 o'clock position. So Fantasy, if he does go straight for the 12 o'clock, he'll probably be able to force that to cancel or maybe even take it out if Hydra pops up with that with that hatchery as soon as he gets there. It's probably what Fantasy's trying to time. But Fantasy going for the 12 o'clock. The hatchery is almost up. Hydra's got to cancel. He does cancel. At least he has the presence of mind to cancel that, get back some minerals. Yeah, but both players, keeping each other at 2 bases for now. Hydra got quite a bit of harassment done. He's still trying to fly in and get a little bit of SCV harassment here. He's taken down quite a few. But now Fantasy is on the defensive, so Hydra's got to be a little bit more careful. Flying away from the turret trap. Random Overlord goes down near the middle. And now Hydra is moving out with a drone, trying to find a place to put his third base, where Fantasy won't scout him immediately. Fantasy scouted that 12 o'clock, I think as soon as it started morphing. So now Hydra is going for a little bit more of a hidden location here. It's probably going to take Fantasy a little bit longer to find that. Yeah, Fantasy's first instinct will probably be that Hydra will rebuild his 12 o'clock once he gets out lurkers or something like that. But Fantasy doing a good job since I think he has his +1 upgrade. Yeah, I'd say he definitely has his +1 upgrade down now. The +1 Glaive Worm upgrade is ready for the Mutas. So Hydra is really committed to this air build. This could really come back to bite him. Is trying to get as close as he possibly can without taking too many Marine shots. The reinforcement Marines are going to come in, be a real pain for Hydra, though. Hydra took down that army by half, but there's still a pretty substantial ground army for Fantasy that could definitely move out and take down that third base if Hydra is not careful, if Hydra doesn't have anything else. I don't think that Hydra has gone for lurkers yet. I just haven't seen a Hydralist in or anything, so he might just be trying to stick with these mutas and get as much damage done with these mutas as possible. He has an evolution chamber. Yeah, Hydra has an evolution chamber with no Hydralist in, which could mean that he might be going for ultras or something like that, or eventually getting into lurkers, but right now I see no indications of lurkers whatsoever. Yeah, he's just sticking with the Spire, with his Mutalists. But there's some drones being transferred over to the 9 o'clock position. We're going to finally get that 9 o'clock. Got Ultraless Cavern for Hydra. What the hell? So Hydra not living up to his name, getting no Hydras whatsoever in this game. He's going to skip straight to Muta Ultra, which is a powerful build, but if you don't have the economy to support it, you'll be wrecked, man. Wrecked! But he is going for that. It is a very powerful build. But I just don't know if Hydra's going to be able to pull it off. He's going to have to go with a lot of static defense. Fantasy is sticking at 2 bases. Look at everything he's doing off of these 2 bases. He has his 2 starports going already. And Fantasy putting up an armory, meaning Valkyries could be a possibility. This is ridiculous, actually. Fantasy not even worrying about a 3rd base yet. He's just trying to end it from 2, I think, because he has his 2 starports ready to go. And all Hydra will have are Ultralists and Zergling soon to defend himself. Yeah, but Hydra is building a lot of static defense. He has 4 sunken colonies at the front, and that should be enough for now. But he's saving up gas now to support his Ultras. He needs a pretty booming economy to support these Ultras, and all he has right now are barely 3 bases. But he is whittling down the Medic and Marine army pretty well, I have to say. Fantasy scouts the 3rd base. Fantasy knows exactly where that 3rd base is now, so it'll probably go straight for that soon. Fantasy forced to take down 1 turret, just to make it easier for those SCVs to mine from that gas he had. But the barracks coming up, something being pumped from the starports. The armory goes down. So Fantasy, if he was thinking about Valkyries or something like that, I think he might have been thinking about Valkyries pumping from the starports, but no, he's going straight into science vessels from this. He canceled his armory, and now he's going for that 9 o'clock position, going for that 9 o'clock with a huge amount of troops, and Hydra really does not have much to attack this. Hopefully he has an air upgrade, another air upgrade come up soon. Because Fantasy already has 1-1. He has 1 armor, 1 attack for those Marines. And this is going to be so difficult for Hydra to defend. Yeah, he has his hive, so he'll be able to... Oh, the first Ultra out now. And the 2nd Evolution Chamber on the way. So working heavily on those ground upgrades to support the Ultras. But really, Fantasy scans. Yeah, Fantasy scans the 9 o'clock position. Probably like, Ultras, huh? It's interesting. And Fantasy might actually suspect another base out there soon. because it is pretty crazy to go for ultras off of 3 bases like this. One of the first science vessels goes down. There is one left, however, for Fantasy. A lot of Mutalisks going down, though. So this is a bizarre game. Hydra is going to have ultras soon to defend himself, and that's basically all he's going to have. That's a big investment. Ultras are a huge investment. So when you go for ultras, that's basically all you can afford for a while, especially off of 3 bases. 3 base ultra. 3 gas ultra. So yeah, opening with ultras. I'm not exactly sure what Hydra's plan is going to be, but he has to take another base soon. That's one given to support this build. He's going to need his 4th base extremely soon. Yeah, but he's sticking at those 3. He is going to move out soon with his ultras to try to surround, probably try to get a pincer attack on these troops. There is 1 science vessel left, which could get a nice irradiate on that Mutalisk clump. And now the 4th base is coming up at the 12 o'clock position for Hydra. He is trying to jumpstart his economy to support these ultras. And I don't think Fantasy is really going to be prepared for the amount of ultras that Hydra will have, because that's all he's pumping now are ultras. And Fantasy, he scouted it earlier. He's going to scout it with this SCV as well. And just ultras everywhere. And I'm not sure who's going to win the next engagement. Fantasy, he's still sticking at 2 bases. Hasn't gone for his 3rd yet. Hasn't even started to build that. So, science vessel goes down. Scourge take out a science vessel. It's going to help a lot because the irradiate can really kill the ultralists. But ultras are getting ready to do a pincer attack of Fantasy. Scourge coming close to taking down another science vessel, though. So Fantasy, he's facing a lot of sunken colonies, a lot of ultras, so this is going to be a pretty tough attack, but Fantasy has a huge clumping of troops since he's only committed to 2 bases, committed most of his gas to the science vessel, only has a few medics out, so he's forced to use a defensive matrix to defend most of his marines at the front. The ultralists doing their best, irradiated ultra, even more powerful than the regular ultra, but Fantasy takes down the ultras at the front with his upgraded marines. The upgraded marines get it done. Of course, he's not out of the woods yet. He's going to have to come up with some reinforcements, which I think he is. Yeah, he's already moving up with a lot of reinforcements. But yeah, this was kind of a gamble, actually, from Fantasy. If he wasn't able to break through this, he would have lost the game just because his economy is so poor at this point. But yeah, it looks like he will be able to break. The ultras, not quite enough to break through Fantasy's very, very aggressive attack at the front, taking down the rest of the sunken colonies. So yeah, I don't think Hydra's going to be able to get back into this game. Very gutsy game plan from both in this game. One of the final ultras goes down. The final sunken colony goes down. I think it's pretty much going to be it for Hydra. What a wacky game. A very wacky game. But the 12 o'clock position was coming up for Hydra, but his game plan is not going to be enough. Yeah, I think that was... Well, I thought that was a GG. Well, there's a GG from Hydra. So Fantasy takes game 1. Both players kind of setting the wonkiness precedent there. Both are playing ridiculous, and hopefully that continues on into game 2. Let's move on to game 2.